to my sweet arms, darling. Listen to my voice. It beckons to you softly, sweetheart. Welcome to love's noise. My secret is your answer, darling. Your answer is the key that opens all the doors to heaven. Come on in with me. Get out of crazy town. Fear is the only sound. At least that's all they'll ever let you hear. Get out of crazy town. Don't let them take you down. There's hope for us, but it takes you and me. Buddha gently rocks the cradle that Christ is nestled in. Great Spirit hovers all around us, to hell with fear and sin. Home sweet home, my sweetest darling. When we first began, there is no longer separation. 1 + 2 is 10. Get out of crazy town. Fear is the only sound. At least that's all they'll ever let you hear. Get out of crazy town. Don't let them take you down. There's hope for us, but it takes you and me. Crazy town. Thank you. Well, I'm proud to have been born and raised in Montana. I grew up working on a farm and ranch, but I basically became half hippie, half cowboy. So I guess I've always been a little bipolar. But in 2010, my life changed forever. I was on tour in Canada when a great freight train came rolling through my life. My mind and my body began to speed up until the point of which they spun out of control. My family drove up north and picked me up, and we drove through the night to the nearest psychiatric hospital. When I got there, the intake nurse asked me if I heard voices. I said, "You bet." She said, "Well, whose voice do you hear?" And I said, "Johnny Cash." She said, "Well, what does Johnny Cash say to you?" "Well, I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling around the bend." And straight into the psych unit I went. I've learned since then that there are places that you joke and places that you don't. But it took a few hospitalizations before we reached a diagnosis. And they diagnosed me with bipolar I disorder and alcoholism. Bipolar disorder is an illness of extremes. At the very top is mania, and at the bottom, depression. Mania for me is this immense energy, this electricity that surges from within. My body and brain are on fire. It kind of feels like a freight train got inside you and is trying to get out. It's this nervous, frantic energy. And then one day it stops.
this seemingly endless energy comes to an end. And then I'm sent spiraling over the edge into the abyss of depression. Depression, for me, is the great darkness. This black abyss in which happiness and hope seldom exist. And it's every bit as physical as it is mental. I can feel the weight of depression crushing down on me. I can feel it in my bones. When I was in high school, I had appendicitis. And I grew up in that whole cowboy up culture where you pull yourself up from the bootstraps. So I applied that to my appendix. And it burst. But I still didn't go in for like 3 or 4 days. And so by the time I got into the doctor and they opened me up, I had gangrene in my peritoneal cavity, and I was hospitalized for days. And that intense pain that I experienced does not even compare to the pain of severe depression. It doesn't even come close. I think that sometimes suicide occurs when the pain exceeds hope. And I know that I fear depression more than I fear death. But that fear can lessen if I can stay present in the moment. If I can throw anchor in the now, I can survive the storm. Hope is what helps me to hang on when everything else tells me to let go. And it's easy to lose. You know, it's easy for me to forget that there's hope when I'm in such pain. I always tell people that I have a photographic memory, but I just don't take many pictures. But I do take action. Whether it's running 4.5 miles every morning or keeping in close touch with my doctor, I do everything I can to reach outside of myself for help. Doctors didn't think I was going to make 31 years old. And by God, I got them beat by a couple. But my liabilities have become my greatest asset. Mental illness doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are. Whether you're black or white, rich or poor, there's no choice in the matter. The brain is just another organ in the body, just like the heart. But if someone has a heart attack, People don't turn their back on them or whisper in hushed tones about them being weak. No, they probably bring them flowers. Well, I ain't never got a balloon or a casserole with mental illness, which is okay. But the point I'm trying to make is that we cannot close the door on people just because their illness occurs in a different part of their body. I don't try to change people's minds. I try to touch hearts so that the mind follows. My goal is to humanize mental illness because I think people fear what they don't understand. It is in the distance that we place between ourselves and our fellow human beings that fear resides. But when we replace fear with understanding, the whole world begins to heal. Mental illness is not just a matter of health. It's a matter of humanity in which we all have value. The stigma that is associated with mental illness, well, stigma is just a softer word for discrimination. But there is hope, and we find it in each other. In the understanding eyes of a stranger, and in the warm embrace of a loved one. We are all in this together. All different vessels trying to get to the same darn place. And we're all going home. I wrote a song about going home entitled Going Home. I wasn't born early, never been on time. I had to surrender to a will that wasn't mine. I tried to stay humble like a star that never shines. I just try to find my own way home. Met me a fella down in Tennessee. He liked my guitar picking, said he saw something in me. So I opened up my pocket and he emptied out my soul. I was shaking, rattled and rolled, going, oh, going, oh. I've been called crazy in a world that is not sane. My brain functions different, but our spirits are the same. You best be understanding, 'cause there's a movement on the rise. Just another word for the wise. Going, oh, going, oh. I'm a fan of Jesus and the Buddha too. I'll follow anyone who follows truth. I respect your religion, 'cause we all are headed home, no matter which.
I don't want to live forever. I've done my prison time. All this fear and hatred, well, it ain't no friend of mine. Burn my bone to ashes and throw me to the sky. I was always born to fly. Oh, going, oh. Safe journeys home.